Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, March 30th. A lot to talk about this morning. We have a severe weather threat today in much of the same region of the country that was hit hard about a week ago. Namely, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana under the gun today for some damaging wind gusts, isolated tornadoes as well. That severe weather threat will extend northward up into the Tennessee Valley, places like Tennessee and Arkansas, and maybe even all the way up into the Ohio Valley. Severe weather shifts to the east, near the east coast on Thursday and Thursday night as a cold front slowly works its way from west to east. First today across the deep south, and then later tomorrow night across the eastern U.S. Before we get into the weather situation, let's take a look at what's going on at the sun. There are a couple of very active sunspots that have produced coronal mass ejections over the last few days. We're now pretty well into the solar cycle 25. It's becoming increasingly active with more and more sunspots, and you can see right here quite a few very large sunspots. These have kind of rotated around the sun over the last few days, and indeed they put out some coronal mass ejections that can have an impact on the Earth's atmosphere as early as late tonight, early tomorrow. Again, watch out for the possibility of a solar storm causing, first of all, causing some northern light possibilities farther to the south than normal. Typically, northern lights are seen in the northern latitudes here, but they could extend all the way down to the middle latitudes with this kind of a coronal mass ejection from the last few days. Could have some communication issues as well. Just wanted to point out that we've had a lot of solar activity over the last few days, and it could impact the Earth's atmosphere as early tomorrow. Well, let's talk about the severe weather threat today, and it's very similar to the region that was hit about a week ago. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. It first started a week ago in central and eastern Texas, and then shifted to the east, and much the same kind of a pattern here with cold air to the west, warm humid air to the south and east, and that severe weather threat will extend up into the Tennessee Valley, maybe even up into the Ohio Valley as a strong cold front moves from west to east. Again, this is the main area of concern, and damaging wind gusts are certainly a high risk here because of multiple jet streaks that we talked about yesterday in the atmosphere. Not only is there an upper level jet streak in this particular part of the nation, but there's a very strong low level jet. We'll kind of focus in on that over the next few minutes. This severe weather threat will weaken some, but shift to the eastern seaboard, the eastern U.S. on Thursday and Thursday night. That same cold front that will move across the deep south today will enter the eastern U.S. during the day on Thursday, and there certainly can be some strong to potentially severe thunderstorms up across the mid-Atlantic region and all the way down into the southeastern part of the nation later tomorrow into tomorrow night. Temperatures will surge on Thursday in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City to 70 plus degrees after the very chilly weather we've had over the past few days. That dramatic warm-up on Thursday will come at a cost, though, with numerous showers, and again, the possibility of late day, evening, strong to potentially severe thunderstorms, not only in the mid-Atlantic region, but all the way down into the southeastern part of the nation. Well, let's talk about some of the factors involved, and we'll focus in on that low-level jet in a moment here. But first, let's take a look at the zero-Z run of the GFS and the vorticity field. There's really all kinds of short waves in the atmosphere right now as we begin the day here at midweek. One wave here across the western part of South Dakota, another one now cutting across Texas here, and as we move forward, this kind of dives to the east and southeast, and that enhances the upward motion right in this region right here. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all the way up into Arkansas and Tennessee. That will help to increase the upward motion and increases the chance for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. Again, isolated tornadoes and damaging wind gusts are really a high risk, I believe. I'm concerned about that in this part of the nation today, even ahead of the strong cold front. Winds will gust today, places like, let's say, Huntsville, Alabama, 50, 55, 60 miles per hour ahead of the front. You won't need a strong to severe thunderstorm to get some damaging wind gusts today in the deep south. All of this shifts to the east on Thursday. Here we are by Thursday afternoon. There'll be a strong cold front right in this region nearing the east coast later tomorrow. Raises the chance for some strong to severe thunderstorms in the eastern U.S. on Thursday. That threat won't be as high as what it is today across the deep south, but it's certainly something we'll keep an eye on over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. All of this continues to move to the east, and by the time we get to late Friday into Saturday, it quiets down and a cooler air mass will follow for Friday and the upcoming weekend in the mid-Atlantic region in the northeastern part of the nation. Well, let's take a look here from the 0Z run of the 850 millibar winds, and this is a few thousand feet off the surface of the earth and very strong low-level jet involved here. Again, we've talked about kind of a classic setup with colder air moving in from the north and west and increasingly humid and warm air coming in from the Gulf of Mexico into the deep south into the Tennessee Valley, and that clash zone right here is where we expect some strong showers and thunderstorms, and it's all aided by this intensifying low-level jet. Here we are by midday today. Very strong winds coming out of the south to the north, and that is a contributing factor to the likelihood, unfortunately, of some damaging wind gusts, and it also increases the chances for some isolated tornadoes. Here we are by early this evening, a very, very strong low-level jet, and I'm not showing it here, but we did yesterday. Very strong winds in the upper part of the atmosphere as well, the 250 millibar level. And then by the time we get into early Thursday, that low-level jet kind of shifts to the eastern seaboard, raising the chances for some strong to potentially severe thunderstorms in the eastern U.S. on Thursday into Thursday evening, all the way into midday and then early evening. Very strong winds at the low levels of the atmosphere right along the eastern seaboard come Thursday evening. Well, let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z GFS model run. First of all, there's a warmer air advancing to the north and east, and it's producing some ice pellets, maybe even a little bit of snow in the interior sections of the mid-Atlantic region. Not a lot of precipitation, but this is kind of a frontal boundary zone right in this region right here. Kind of a warm front, basically, starting to move to the north and east. And over the next few hours, it could be a bit of snow or ice in southeastern Pennsylvania, not a big deal. And all this continues to move to the north and east, and it's all because warmer air is advancing to the north and east. Initially, it's running into that cold air mass still in place in the mid-Atlantic region, hence some ice and even some snow across interior sections of Pennsylvania, for example, over the next couple of hours. But look at this wind flow right out of the Gulf of Mexico. That's adding fuel to the fire here, and again, setting the stage for some severe weather possibilities in the deep south. And here comes that incoming cold front with much colder air on its western side, clashing with that increasingly humid and very warm air to the south and east. Later today, a squall line will develop, headed right into the same region that was hit hard a week ago with severe weather, from eastern Texas across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and up northward to Tennessee and Arkansas here. Maybe even into the Ohio Valley. There'll be some strong to severe thunderstorms. Here we are by early tonight, and again, watch out for damaging wind gusts ahead of the frontal system and along the frontal system, and the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms. Snow on the cold sector to the north and west of that surface low, places like Minnesota, upstate Wisconsin. Then we get into the day on Thursday, and that cold frontal system slides to the eastern seaboard. Certainly can be some strong to severe thunderstorms both in the southeastern part of the nation and maybe the mid-Atlantic region later in the day into the evening hours, as that cold front right here barrels through the region. Here it is at this particular time. This is 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and here is that surface cold front. Again, kind of two areas to watch for strong to severe thunderstorms later tomorrow night. First, in the mid-Atlantic region, late in the day, early tomorrow night, and then down across the southeastern part of the nation anytime midday on through the afternoon. That frontal system continues to push to the east. We kind of set up for a day on Friday that's similar to earlier in the week, not quite as dramatic, but we'll have a lot of instability in the atmosphere in the mid-Atlantic region, in the northeast U.S., especially across those interior higher elevation locations where there can be some lake effect snows right in that part of the northeastern quadrant of the nation on Friday as colder air moves in following the passage of that strong cold frontal system. It tends to stay on the cool side going into the upcoming weekend, and then we'll have another disturbance here to monitor early this weekend cutting across the Midwest, and that may reach the eastern U.S. by the time we get to Sunday. So a lot going on. First of all, with regard to the sun, watch out for the possibility of solar storm effects late tonight, early tomorrow. March 31st is when that coronal mass ejection could have an impact in the Earth's atmosphere. And then in terms of severe weather, watch out today across the deep south, especially eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, up northward, Tennessee, Arkansas, maybe even all the way into the Ohio Valley. Some of those strong storms will shift into the eastern U.S. on Thursday. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.